It's another Saturday when we bring you your favorite program, Security Watch Africa, only on this channel, Africa Independent Television. Welcome to your program, Security Watch Africa. Yes, today it's another glorious day and wonderful day. We're bringing you a loaded edition of this program. Wherever you're watching us, I said welcome, welcome. My name still remains Patrick Abambu. If you're watching us live on Africa Independent Television, anywhere via DSTV or via satellite or terrestrial means, you're welcome. If you're watching us on the social media platforms, Facebook, Security Watch Africa TV, television, you're welcome. If you're watching us on YouTube, you're welcome. We'll go every length to ensure that we get across to you and give you that information you need to keep your life safer and secured. Today we'll be looking at a lot of things, but particularly we'll be looking at the medical frontline workers in our continuous insight into COVID-19. And the challenges they are facing. I already have in the studio with me Dr. Chukwemeka Kanebi. He's already in the studio seated. He's also a frontline medical practitioner. So we're looking at it. But I must congratulate the Inspector General of Police, IGP Mohammed Abubakar Adamu, and all the policemen and officers across the country for the opening up of the police establishment. I was glad when we got the news that President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the expansion of some of the departments and units and zones of the Nigerian police force. I must say kudos, because it's something that is deserving it. It's been long awaited, but finally, during the tenure of IGP Adamu, it's been approved. Today, we have 5 new zonal commands added to the 12th original zonal commands of the Nigerian police force, so making it 17. The new ones are Ondo and Ekiti States commands to be headquartered at Akure, then Enugu, Anambra, Ebonyi States Command to be headquartered in Oka, then Bayelsa and Rivers States Command to be headquartered in Yenegua, and Yobe, Borno States Command to be headquartered in Maiduguri, and then Katsina and Kano States headquartered in Katsina. Yeah, it's a good thing. It's bringing police much, much closer to the people. But I seriously speaking, I haven't studied the Nigerian police for close to 30 years. I must say that there are some things that are not so clear, and which will need the government and the police to give clarity to it. I wonder why the zonal command should be in for Rivers and Bayelsa State in Yenegua. Yenegua, as we speak, does not have a befitting state command headquarters. So I wonder, going to put a zonal headquarters there, where would they operate from? This time we are thinking of conservation of funds. Are you going to start constructing a new zonal headquarters, or where? And there are no space in Yenegua, by the way, to even construct. So I think those who are charged with this should look into it. The same thing with Oka and Anambra State. We think what they have there as a state command headquarters, it's not deserving of even an area command. Yes, kudos to the effort made by some commissioners of police, CP Garba Omar, CP, so many CPs, if I can remember their names, who try to update that structure, that space, including the current CP there, Abank, they try to update it, but still is not deserving of an area command, talk less of a state command, but they are using it. Then you're talking of a zonal command in Oka. I know that the governor of the state is also would want to do something, but maybe they should first of all tackle the state command headquarters first before the zonal headquarters. Enugu, I think, should have been much better. For the Rivers State and Bayelsa, I think Rivers State could still have hosted it. The same thing we talked, I think, in some other zones, apart from Maiduguri, which is also good. Katsina can also host. Akure can also host, because already you have headquarters that are deserving of state command, so you can start up something. But for states that do not have good headquarters, talking of another zonal headquarters, that would be a waste of fun. Maybe they should look into it. I hope so, and so that the new Assistant Inspector General of Police in those zones can kick off with actual policing and not start looking for office accommodations. Yes, let's go to the issue of today. Like I said, we'll be looking at the zone at particularly at the challenges faced by the medical health workers in confronting COVID-19. But that will be before this report from the Nigerian Army looking at issues of motivating the personnel to work. Sit back as we bring you this report by Shunil Daniels.
Motivation is a strong factor in achieving the impossible. When leadership recognizes, acknowledges, and rewards its personnel, these personnel in return strive to overcome the most difficult challenges. This is the true description of the performance of officers and soldiers of the Nigerian Army since the temporary relocation of the Office of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General YUSUF, to the northeast. In his drive to realize his vision, which is to build a professionally responsive Nigerian Army in the discharge of his constitutional role, he has deliberately and consistently placed the welfare of his officers as a top priority. As a commander who leads from the front, Lieutenant General Buratai has physically led many Nigerian Army offensives against Boko Haram and Islamic State West African province ISWAP since March 2020, and this has brought a collateral damage to the terror groups.
You have discharged yourselves creditably well. You have shown resilience, doggedness, as well as physical and mental alertness to successfully prosecute operations against the insurgents. I commend you all. Since the commencement of Operation Kantana Jimlan, you have all put in concerted efforts which have resulted in several successful encounters against the Boko Haram terrorist group and the Islamic State West Africa province insurgents.
The Nigerian Army hemsman stated this while appreciating the enormous efforts his men has been putting in the fight to totally wipe out insurgency and terrorism in Nigeria during the Eid al-Fitr luncheon hosted by the Army leadership for the troops. General Buratai disclosed that the Army have neutralized 1,015 commanders and fighters of Boko Haram and ISWAP and arrested 65 informants.
Overall, since my arrival here in the Northeast on 4th of April this year, you gallant troops of Operation Lafia Dole have neutralized over 1,015 Boko Haram terrorists. The Chief of Military Intelligence team, through covert operations, has arrested 84 Boko Haram ISWAP logistics suppliers, informants, and couriers.
While appreciating President Muhammadu Buhari and governors of Borno and Yobe State for their numerous supports, he charged the troops to remain steadfast, committed, and not to be distracted by negative publicity as victory is at hand.
The Nigerian Army, on its part, will remain focused at dealing with insurgency and other forms of criminalities in the country and will not allow itself to get distracted by unpatriotic elements within the society. I will not end this address without expressing our immense gratitude to the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Muhammadu Buhari, the governors of Borno and Yobe states, and the good people of the Northeast for their unflinching support to the Nigerian Army.
The Chief of Army Staff commended other security agencies, the Civilian Joint Task Force JTF, and vigilantes for the collaborative efforts in the fight.
We must also take a moment to acknowledge and appreciate the gallant officers and men of the Nigerian Navy and the Nigerian Air Force who have been tirelessly fighting along with us all these years. Gentlemen, officers and men of the Nigerian Navy's Special Boat Service and the Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Dole, I salute your courage and support to the land forces. You remain critical partners in this war against terrorism and criminalities in our country. We equally recognize the sacrifices and contributions of the personnel of the Nigerian Police Force, the Department of State Services, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, the civilian JTFs and hunters, and numerous groups supporting and operating alongside with our troops. You are all doing excellently well, and I urge all to maintain the high level of commitment.
The gallantry and successes recorded by the Nigerian Army received a boost from the Borno State Governor, Professor BABAGANA ZULUM, who showered accolades on officers and soldiers.
We acknowledge the tremendous success recorded by the Nigerian military during the last 2 months. And therefore, it is my sincere hope that Almighty Allah will give you more strength, more wisdom, more courage, long life, and productivity to fight the insurgents.
SHULLY Daniels, Security Watch Africa, Abuja.
We must say kudos to all the officers and soldiers of the Nigerian Army and other security services for making sure that these insurgents and terrorists that have been troubling the country are kept at bay so that we can move ahead with our normal lives. One day, I think the country will tell a story of a total eradication and wiping out of these Boko Haram and YUSUF group from our land. Yes, let's quickly go to the topic of the day, that what we're looking at. We have a report already by PEGGY AGBEH on the issues or challenges faced by the medical frontline workers. Sit back.
2020 started like every other year with fresh expectations. But no one anticipated that the year will bring one of the most deadly virus, coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic, which has taken the lives of many globally. As death toll and numbers of infected persons mounts, panic sets in, borders, schools, offices and religious gatherings close down. The world is adjusting gradually to this change. Tackling coronavirus in Nigeria, a country with 200 million people and healthcare system still in upgrade. Healthcare workers are at the forefront in response to the new virus, which threatens our very existence. How are healthcare workers coping with these challenges, and what is being done to ameliorate these challenges? Security Watch Africa seeks answers to these questions from the Chairperson of National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, FCT Chapter, Comrade DEBORAH YUSUF.
As you can see, we have isolation centers, which are as well as known as treatment centers. But then the other facilities, I want to start from the other facilities that are not already carved out for the treatment or isolation centers. You know, every patient comes to the hospital, and the main entry is the accident emergency or general outpatient department. In these facilities, so many patients present with other clinical presentations. It might not be necessary be the COVID-19, but the COVID-19 is not a kind of infection or diagnosis that is written on someone else's face. Rather, you take it from the clinical presentation and also from the history given by the patient. So now why I'm taking us to this is that so many patients are being turned back. We are not happy, but then the healthcare professionals, particularly the nurses, who are always found at their duty post in the accident emergency, don't even have the equipment to work with.
Also speaking was the chairman, Medical and Health Workers Union of Nigeria, FCT, Comrade SHANABO ABUBAKAR, of the union's efforts on educating health workers to stay safe while in the line of duty and soliciting for prompt payment of frontline workers.
The step we took was to see how we can avert our member to be affected. And two, our members who are in front line of that fighting for the coronavirus, we try to see how we can educate them and to mobilize them, to guide them on what to do so that they will not be affected. And because if they are affected, it will affect their families and it will extend to other health workers. So they have been trained how to handle the patients and how to go about it. The challenges we are facing, especially now in the FCT, our people who are in front line have not been paid. That's the challenge. Somebody will leave his family for over 1 week, 2 weeks, nothing to take care of their families. It's wrong. They are the challenges we are facing.
Lending her voice to the precautionary measures to be taken by health providers while attending to patients in their care, Vice Chairman, National Association of Nigerian Nurses, FCT, Comrade TALATU HARUNA, had this to say.
Health workers should consider all patients are positive of corona. That's number one. Number two, even if they don't have protective materials at that moment. They should improvise, get longer hand gloves, get, at least in every hospital setting, they must have theater gowns. They can use them. They should use their masks. They should use face protective masks too, and handle the patient before then they should inform the appropriate body that can do that. Not that when you see patient, some of the patient doesn't present the signs and symptoms at the moment until otherwise.
An emergency, and like an emergency, somebody's rushed in, and you have to attend to that person. Would you go back for your kids?
What actually, yes, by now most of the hospitals, they have the kits available. We advise they should use it, and when they notice that it is finishing, they should inform us.
Comrade TALATU Haruna gave this advice for relatives of patients.
The challenges we are facing, patients and their relations don't comply. Even when we are health educating them, giving them more information, vital information on the condition. You see patient, you saw your relation has high fever, all the signs of the COVID-19. You are holding him as if you treat him to get well. When you notice it, inform the proper body to come to your aid. Don't expose yourself, don't expose the family. Don't allow the condition to be spreading more and more. All the rules and regulations, it is there according to NCDC. Follow it, follow due process, do the right thing.
Health workers are heroes and should be given support by the government and masses at every point in time to enable them give medical treatment better. Peggy AGBEH, Security Watch Africa, Abuja.
Welcome back. In fact, watching that report, one is tempted to say, oh, one of the speakers there did say that sometimes because this symptom does not present itself immediately, the health worker themselves are exposed.
Exactly.
How true is that?
I think that is 100%. If there's anything like 110%, it is. I mean, not just the healthcare workers, but everybody, every one of us, because sometimes people don't. In fact, I had an interview and I said that the first symptom of coronavirus is no symptoms.
No symptoms.
Because everybody who's walking around could be a potential carrier of the virus. They might not be sick. They might also be mounting an immune response and taking care of themselves, but that doesn't stop them from spreading the virus. And if you're more susceptible, you are the one who will come down with a more severe infection. So I think it's very important. Now, the healthcare workers are somewhat more susceptible or more prone or more at risk because they're in a place where the people who come to a health facility are sick people. So already these people have some form of symptom, whether it be a fever or a cough or whatever. So the onus is actually on them, not on every other person, to ensure that the guidelines, the protocols, the hygiene, which is very important. I've been, I did some rounds around a couple of hospitals, private hospitals in Abuja recently, and I saw that a lot of them have these protocols, even right from the security post. They're actually either screening you at the entrance, or when you get there was a particular private hospital in Gwarinpa, they actually take your contacts. Your whole contacts, you write everything down, just in case maybe when you came, they found there was a case, so they can contact trace you. I found that remarkable. And there's several others, they have the hand washing bays, they have the hand sanitizers at the entrance, which is usually automatic. And these are some of the things that all their staff they're girded in their face masks, and they're always, practicing physical distancing. I think that is essential, to make sure that they are less at risk, because they are constantly at risk, but basically to reduce the risk and then just, practice their hand hygiene and physical distancing. I think that's critical.
Because one of the respondents also spoke about the ED, my next question, which is most times some hospitals turn back patients because they don't know, and that has led to some people dying of other illnesses that should have been taken care of.
I think that is an unfortunate scenario. The hospital is actually supposed to be the place where you come and you get some kind of salvation or something. You get some kind of care. Anyways, the protocol regarding feeling so ill right? If you feel so ill and you have those, you know, overt symptoms of COVID, it's the actual instruction is you call that health facility first that you're coming, so they prepare for you. I think that might be the instances where these patients are sent back. But I know that most of the facilities, when you walk in, I just walked in, you know, I didn't even present myself as a healthcare worker or a doctor or a patient, but I was let in just by asking questions. And like I said, in one particular facility, I had to put down my details, and that was fine. But if you have overt symptoms, you know, difficulty breathing, respiratory difficulty, a lot of facilities would say, okay, there should have been some form of announcement or some form of notification to know that you are coming, because according to the NCDC, that's how it should go. Yeah, that's how it should be, basically.
Now we carried out that report because it's looking so obvious that we may have to leave, continue our daily activities with COVID-19 still with us. It's becoming so obvious. So we're looking at those areas.
We talked about this several weeks ago. We said that, you know, somehow, even 2 weeks ago, we said that it's here, it's with us, it's with us. So how do we start living in the new normal? And I think the world globally is looking at that. How do we live with this? Because at the time we thought that it would soon elapse. You know, I was also at another interview where I was discussing with someone, and they were talking about how people's coping strategies were short-lived. The virus has outlived their coping strategies because they thought, oh, it'll be for a month, it will be for 2 months. So they prepared themselves for that period. And the virus is outliving them. They are now shutting down. They are breaking down, even mentally. I think it's very important that people start thinking here beyond, you know, beyond today, and planning for the long haul, and saying that they will survive, they will protect themselves, their families, and their communities, and they will protect their loved ones as well, and themselves particularly. Yes.
Some of our viewers may say that you are not talking like a faith-based person. You are not giving faith that, because prayers are being offered that this should cease. A lot of people are both Christian, Muslims, or traditional believers are praying that this should cease, but you're not sounding that way.
I think faith is multidimensional. Faith has a lot of faces, basically. There's even faith that a cure will come. There's faith that a vaccine will come. There's faith that if I get coronavirus, it won't kill me. There's faith that coronavirus too will disappear. So that's why I say that faith it's multidimensional, and depending on how you carry it. But I do know that there's grace, there's faith available, but at the same time, prior to that, there's sickness and disease in the world, and God even knows that. So it's important that we as individuals do our part and ultimately hang on to faith, because faith will do several other things for us, like I just mentioned, different levels of that.
Yes, there's some cheering news also, because in Osogbo, in Osun State, a woman who contracted this 82-year-old woman, within nine days, kept being taken care of in the isolation center, got healed and got better. And people were saying this is also another example. Not, you know, the belief is that once you're
the older you are,
and she was also hypertensive, but in this case she got better.
Yes. Again, our reaction or our response to infection is also multifaceted as well. In the sense that there are a lot of constitutional, you know, characteristics that makes me susceptible. There are genetic factors, there are environmental factors, there are even viral factors. You know, how much of the virus you know, did I get, you know, that got into me, what kind of treatment, what has been my history when it comes to fighting disease and infection. So it's a lot, it's a whole, there's no, like I told you earlier, I said, it's a new virus. So we're still learning it, you know, we're still learning it. A lot of the things we're putting out there are things that we think we know. It's just like in the US when they mentioned that a lot of African American and foreign nationals are the ones coming down with the virus and dying. You know, it's easy to just say, it's because they are black, but you know, they had to do more studies to say they're possibly the ones, and that's actually the truth. They're the ones with the menial jobs. They're the ones who are driving the delivery trucks, when people were isolated, these are the people with those low income jobs, and they were the ones most at risk at these places. They're driving the ambulances, they're carrying the people. So again, we have to look in depth to know what we're dealing with. Yes.
Oh, really, there's a lot to look.
There's never enough time. Yes,
we're getting sick that to go. But really, I had so many questions to look into, but they say we must leave. But finally, before, if I'm giving 1 minute more, before you leave, where do we go from here? What should people be doing now?
Yes,
Patrick, the reality is here. What should you do?
Patrick, I think the first thing, just something I slipped in there, is that a lot of us built our coping capacity for a short period of time, and the virus is outliving it. So I want people right now to start building more capacity for the long haul, and hopefully we'll beat this in no short time. Yes.
Definitely we'll beat this. We just need to build in our immune system and get strengthened more, and God will see us through this. Just like other diseases and illnesses that are still here with us, we'll see and survive all this. We must leave for other programs to continue. We must thank you for joining us. Do join us again next week so we can bring you another exciting and interesting program. Keep sending your views and your comments. It's helping us to develop what else we need to look into. Thanks for staying tuned. Bye for now.
Hi everyone, my name is SHULLY, Super Falcons Forward. I just want to use this medium to let everyone know that it's not safe out there right now. Let's try as much as we can to stay indoor, abide by the rules given by the Nigerian government and also that of the Nigerian Football Federation.
I just want to encourage everyone to listen to the rules laid out by the Nigerian federal government and by the NFF, and to follow all the protocols, including those of FIFA, to make sure you stay at home and to look after each other.
I know it has not been easy. I want to use this medium to beg all Nigerians to adhere to the protocol of the federal government, to please stay at home. We don't want to lose anybody.
Stay safe with your family at home.